Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. These lumbering giants tower high above the battlefield as the Norskins face off against the Greenskins. So, be myself leading the Norscan forces against Crestfallen Hero with the Greenskins. So for the front line for Norsca, you're going to have Marauders in the front line. We do have some Marauder champions trying to anchor that front line. And of course, we do have a pair of Norscan giants. Not a common pick that you'll see from Norsca, but they are still a very good unit nonetheless. They have a very substantial 100 base leadership. They have 600 weapon strength, with 450 of that being armor piercing. They do excellent work, especially with paired with Throg. They pretty much can take down any of the large targets like the Arachnarok spiders, or if Greenskins decide to bring their own giants. We also have a Fimir Balefina Fire, going to be bringing Fireball and Burning Head. Burning Head great against the Greenskin, helps just roast that frontline infantry. We also do have a pair of Skin Wolves in the back, provide a little bit of substantial mobility that can kind of shut down some of the fast movers, and they also do have a nice little bit of regen, so they can withstand some of that Greenskin skirmish fire. We do have Marauder Horsemen with some Horsemasters in the front line, going to be trying to do a little bit of counter skirmishing, absorbing some of that shots, and just kind of pestering the Greenskin front line while the rest of the army does advance. If we swing on over to what the Greenskins have to offer today, they do have a pair of Force Goblin Spider Riders, so they do poison with their missile attacks, so they'll be able to slow down any approaching skirmish or even the Skin Wolves, so they should be able to keep their distance from those units, and they are quite a hard unit to really take down, even with the counter skirmish. The front line is going to be some Night Goblins with the ROR 8-peak Loonies as well, and front line going to have some Goblins and Orc Boys as well. In the back line, we do have the Rusty Arrows to kind of drop that leadership, kind of potentially against Wulfric is really good against him because it will reduce his armor, allow the rest of the units to really kind of focus him down, and Skarsnik and the we do have some nasty Skulkers in the back with their Smoke Bomb to kind of slow things down on top of that. If anything does get into the back line, they can just pop that, and they do have some armor piercing to kind of do a little bit of damage themselves. For the Lord, of course, we do have Skarsnik, as I did say before. He does have the Fermented Fungi, from what I can see, so at minus 24 melee defense, and it does rampage if the character it is cast on is below the certain threshold. We have Tricky Traps, we have Spite of the Bad Moon as well, and then we have Get Back here for a little bit of extra leadership in that department. We have a Giant River Troll Hag going to be bringing a kind of a small selection of spells. We do have Mither, of course, and a nice little control spells. We have Doom and Darkness, we have Spirit Leech, and we do have Aspect of the Dread Knight for some additional leadership for the troops that do need it. And we have a Black Orc Big Boss. No trolls for him to be supporting, which you'll normally see him with, but he does have another Get Back here, so a lot of leadership sources for the Greenskins to really keep their troops in that fight for as long as possible. Mobility, we have the Broken Tusk Mob, the Orc Boar Boys, Biggins ROR, and we have another unit of just the regular Orc Boar Boy Biggins on top of that. And in the back line, we do have some more Night Goblins going to be protecting a Doom Diver Catapult. Pretty expensive target there, or catapult to be bringing, but we'll see if it's going to be able to pay off for itself. There are some targets for it to be shooting at, and it is a fairly accurate machine, so even against the single entities, it can do quite well if it is able to fire over the course of the match. And even against the Skin Wolves too, if it is able to make connection, could peel off some models here and there, getting some decent value if it is able to continue firing. But as the two armies do approach one another, shots are going to be firing into the Skin Wolves. Now they do have the physical resist, so that armor reducing isn't really going to be doing a whole lot because they only have a base of 15 armor in the first place. But Mither is going to be used on this one unit, as it does take some more shots from the Rusty Arrows and the Forest Goblin Spider Riders. They're going to try and kind of pull up, but just see how low that speed is getting them. They are down to 8 speed. They are just down to a snail's pace, able to keep them from the rest of their lines. But the other units are starting to kind of circle around slowly into the rear of the formation, continuing to pester into these Force Goblin Spider Riders, slowly whittling them down bit by bit. We do have a Spirit Leech going to be going down on this Norscan Giant, trying to bring it down as low as it can. We do have a nice fat burning head going to be roasting through these Night Goblins, bringing them down very low indeed, and that is going to be bringing them down probably below their they do actually get their Fanatics Thrush off. They were just at that threshold, but now they are going to be below that, so that is going to be their only cast that they can get. Crestfallen Hero on top of it, trying to salvage what he can, so he was able to get that Fanatics cast off before they did get too low. Otherwise, the front lines are engaging right now. Skinwolf is going to be assisting this Marauder unit as it is going to be wavering, but the two Giants with Throg are just kind of pounding on these Orbory Biggins. However, Skarsnik and the Black Orc Big Boss is in the mix here, really going to be doing quite a work actually on Throg, as he is already down to 50% health, taking a ton of damage early on. Even this Norscan Giant's taking quite a bit in that regard. But if we take a look into the flanks, the Nasty Skulkers did get broken, but so did do the Marauders by the broken Tusk Mobs. Nice little charge there. The Skinwolves are going to be in the mix as well, doing some nice anti-large against them, and another Burning Head's going to be arcing its way right on down the line, roasting through these goblins, and then continuing on its way. I'm not really going to be hitting anyone in this little fight, but just roasting that little formation and actually missing the rest of the Marauders. Fermented Fungi does go down on this Norscan Giant, and it is going to be rampaging in this fight. However, we do have the Wintertooth Crown is also pop, keeping all of these units unbreakable as the fight does progress, but it is really just down to the single entities and these champions who are getting very low. That Wintertooth Crown able to keep them in the fight though before they did break, and yeah, these Giants are just pounding down onto this Giant River Troll Hag as she is taking a ton of damage, and she is going to be wavering as well, but she is still going to be in the fight if she is able to pull out and stabilize her leadership. On the flanks, though, the skirmishing for the Norskins here continuing to just kind of pluck away slowly but surely at these broken Tusk Mobs. The Skinwolves did get broken off, unable to really contest, but now Skarsnik is kind of isolated right now as the Giants and Throg are both just pounding down, and he is going to be routing here, and it's just going to be down to the that Black Orc Big Boss. And once again, another nice Burning Head roasting through these Orc Boys as they were blobbed up around that Fimir Balefine. A very nice cast there, catching them out in the open. And that the Norscan Giant is going to keep pounding down onto these Rusty Airs, trying to keep them from firing any more, reducing the armor of the units around them, as they do have, a little bit of armor, 30, reducing them down to nothing really would help quite a bit, though, in that fight. And now it is just the Black Orc Big Boss against a Giant and Throg in the middle, though he has done quite a bit of work, too. Those Giants have taken a ton of damage over the course of the fight, and in the back line, these Marauder Horsemen continuing to kind of kite away from the units, and the Doomdiver catapults initially kind of pushed off are going to be returning, trying to get back onto their artillery pieces. However, at this point, the Norskins have kind of pushed into that zone a little, probably too closely for them to really get any shots off, as these Marauders champions actually are going to kind of peel off to kind of help deal with Skarsnik here, to make sure that he is finished once and for all. That Black Orc Big Boss hot on the tail of Throg, as we do have another Fanatics going to be cast by these Night Goblins, going right on through these Marauders, doing a lot of good work there, and another Burning Head trying to get through these the Rusty Airs. However, it does kind of miss them for the most part, but they are still going to be routing off by the approach of these Giants, as they do terrify them right off out of position here. And just as the Doomdiver is getting back onto their equipment, these Giants do collapse upon their position, and they are going to be terrified off that fight. But the Greenskins have consolidated their leadership, at least to an extent, as they do have a Giant River Troll Hag with Skarsnik and the Black Orc Big Boss standing over the body of Throg, who that Black Orc was finally able to bring down. But these Giants going to be lumbering their way forward. The Fimir Balefine also sitting amongst the sands, but it's going to be Giants versus these little tiny orcs here. We're just going to see how this is going to go. One of the Giants does go down to the blows of that Black Orc Big Boss, but Skarsnik also is going to be routing off the field. We still have Skinwolves and a lot of mobility for the Norskins, as some of it is going to be focused on chasing down all of the routing forces. But the Giant River Troll Hag getting dangerously low, and that Norscan Giant is just continuing to wail away. And with the assistance of the Skinwolves here, I think things are going to look pretty good for Norsca in this late game, as they have the mobility pretty much cleaning up shop on the outskirts. And we do have some Marauders starting to come back to be assisting this Norscan Giant, who, in a vacuum, the Black Orc Big Boss might be able to actually pull this one out, as he he is kind of a little bit smaller target, but that Norscan giant just continuing to wail away. But as soon as these Marauder champions and Marauders with the Skin Wolves do kind of approach, it is going to spell the certain end for the Greenskins here, as he is going to be wavering, and with his loss, that is going to be army losses for the Greenskins, and that is going to be our match for today, as the Norskins do pull it off in the end. So we take a look at the after battle report here. For the Norscan sides, the Giants doing fairly decent work. One of them getting about 2,000, the other about 1,500. They do cost about 1,700, so pretty good value there overall. The Norscan Skin Wolves just kind of being there, helping chase things down, gives them a little bit of mass, but overall didn't really do all that heavy lifting. The Skirmishers, on the other hand, did quite a bit of good work themselves, able to pay for themselves and then some. Otherwise, the front line for Norsca really just kind of there, allowing the big units here to really do the heavy damage. That Fimir Belfiend with its burning heads doing a ton of damage, 22,000 damage with almost 1,800 in value, and Throg himself doing some good work as well, getting 1,500. Now, if we look over at the Greenskin side, Skarsnik, the River Troll Hag, and that Black Orc Big Boss getting over 2,000 in value against those Giants, doing very well in that engagement. His leadership aura really wasn't as useful here as it is with some builds that the Greenskins do bring, with Trolls, for instance. However, he himself did quite a bit of good work in that department. Doomdiver, unfortunately, not really the best matchup to be bringing that. There's just not a whole lot of very good targets, and it can get shut down very quickly with the mobility that the Norskins can bring to pressure that back line. Only getting 350 out of the 1,000 that it costs, and the Broken Tusk Bob as well as the Orkbor Biggins really just didn't do as well either. Rusty Errors, very, very good value on that department as well. The only archer unit, but able to really focus down those Giants over the course of the battle, reducing their armor, allowing all the other units to really do a lot of good damage, and doing a lot of good damage themselves. But overall, that was a very fun match, very close in the end. Giants getting quite low. Black Orc Big Boss almost able to pull it out, but alas, Crestfallen Hero falls just a little bit short. That is it I'm going to have for you all today. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good one.